Welcome to the employee orientation for Bush Hog. We will be covering many topics today, but it's most important to remember that while we cover these topics, our goal is always zero injuries in the factory. This video is being created so that you can review some of these topics in the future if you need additional information. Let's begin with safety at our company. Here, safety is taken very seriously. Employee safety is of critical importance. It is management's job to establish and require safe ways to work. It is your job to always work safely. Working safely is a condition of working here at Bush Hog. If you see a safety problem, report it to your supervisor or the safety team immediately. Here you can see there is a full team designed to handle the safety issues at this factory. Contact any one of them if you have an issue or you'd like to discuss something. Like I said earlier, our ultimate safety goal is an incident-free workplace. All incidents are preventable. Working safely is a condition of employment, and safety is a key operational value along with productivity, quality, and customer service. We will have a work environment that is protective and logically evaluates and manages safety risks and their related costs. Nothing we do is worth getting hurt. The facilities management is accountable for safety improvements. Safety representatives will support senior management in identifying and facilitating these improvements. But you as an employee also have a responsibility to identify any unsafe operation and get assistance to solve that safety problem immediately. Through safety training and its application, we will improve the safety of our work environment. We will create a culture where working safely is a personal expectation. In the case of an emergency, first recognize the evacuation signal and listen for the instructions. There's a different signal for weather, fire, etc. Shut down the equipment if there's time and you're requested to do so. Then go directly to the nearest safe exit and proceed to the assembly area. These are different areas in the parking lot depending on what part of the factory you come from. To prepare for these emergencies, become familiar with the nearest exit and keep it clear. No alternative evacuation routes throughout the factory if needed. Exits and evacuation routes are posted on maps, and participate in the drills and provide feedback to your supervisors. We all want to be safe. In severe weather, do not go outside. When notified to, go to the designated severe weather shelter area. Do not crawl under machines, equipment, and balconies. There's a specific location in both the administration's office as well as the factory in the case of severe weather. Fire extinguishers are found throughout the plant. If you discover a small fire or smoke, use an extinguisher to put it out. Pull the pin at the top of the cylinder. Aim the nozzle at the base of the flame, squeeze or press the handle. Sweep from side to side at the base until the fire is out. Do not attempt to put a fire out that you feel is too large to handle with a single extinguisher. And if a fire cannot be put out quickly and easily, call for help and then evacuate the area. After a fire extinguisher has been used, take it to your supervisor so it can be replaced. Here are some general safety rules. Observe all safety warning signs. Maintain housekeeping. Keep emergency equipment accessible. No horseplay. And wear the required PPE. Also, follow the instructions from your supervisor or team leader. Here are some safety rules for the factory. When entering the building, you must have on earplugs, safety glasses, and steel-toed shoes. Always properly park your vehicle. No backing into a parking space. Follow the areas in the parking lot when entering and exiting. And no speeding. The speed limit is 3 miles per hour once you enter the plant. Notice the signs that are posted. Do not dump your garbage or trash into the parking lot. When walking through the plant, do not run and stay within the gray aisles. These are very important. Also, Never walk off the line or area without telling your supervisor or team leader. In the event of an emergency, all personnel need to be accounted for. Also, no eating on the production floor or open containers on the production floor. We have break rooms available that are much safer and healthier to eat and drink in. Forklift drivers do not drive in the pedestrian walkways. And always come to a complete stop at the intersections and blow your horn. Slow down when coming around corners and blow your horn so people know you're in the area. Let's talk about clothing and accessories. PPE garments will be worn to protect the body from contact with chemicals and other dangers. Loose or saggy clothes, necklace bracelets, ankle ties, rings, and loose long hair will not be worn around rotating or moving equipment. Sandals, moccasins, woven cloth shoes, open-toe shoes, and high heels over 2 inches are not allowed in manufacturing or operating areas. It's important to be safe. Let's talk about personal protective equipment, PPE. All employees will wear PPE as indicated in the company Personal Protective Equipment Program. Employees are responsible for keeping their personal protective equipment in a sanitary and reliable condition. Do not use defective or damaged PPE. Damaged or worn PPE should be traded in for new replacements. Let's talk about eye protection. Safety glasses must be worn at all times when required. Persons performing welding jobs wear shaded glasses according to the company policy for protection. Face shields must be worn when refueling propane tanks, changing batteries, grinding or buffing, drilling overhead, or any time there is potential for facial injury. Safety glasses must be worn under the face shields. Let's talk about hand protection. Gloves may be required depending on the job's hazards. Job-specific PPE will be covered by your supervisor in that area. In hearing, employees are required to wear hearing protection in all areas of the plant. You do not get used to noise, you gradually lose your hearing. Once hearing is damaged, it cannot be repaired or replaced, so use your earplugs. There are hazard communication labels all throughout the factory. Let's take a look. 1. On labels, check for the hazardous conditions. 2. There are safety data sheets. Review these for the area you're working in. Next, there are health and environmental hazards, and sometimes physical hazards, and different mixtures you're dealing with. Be aware of the hazards in your area and on the job you are working. Notice these various different signs and symbols. Take a minute and look at these so you know the different types of hazards that may be around your work environment or throughout the plant. Now let's talk about daily activities. Back safety tips. Don't lift more than 35 pounds by yourself. Ask for help. It only takes a second and suddenly you're injured. When reaching up, don't overextend. If standing in one place for any length of time, put a foot on a footrest. Push, don't pull things. Squat down, don't bend. And be careful when you turn, don't twist your body. Here are some tips for lifting equipment. The use of mechanical lifting equipment is encouraged. Powered equipment such as forklifts, powered carts, electric pallet jacks, hand trucks, carts, pallet jacks, cranes, and hoists, as well as conveyors. Use these for the lifting effort. If you have to personally lift something, size up the load. Know the weight of the load before you start. Understand the shape and size of it. Clear a path ahead of time if you're going to be moving it. Be aware of objects and things in the way. And be aware of tight doorways or corners when unloading. It's important that you think about all of these elements before you start moving a product. Here's how to do a proper lift. Stand close with shoulder-width stance. Squat by bending your knees and hip. Hug the load, bend your knees, and pull the load close and grip it. Tighten your stomach. Lift your head. Rise up using your legs. Keep the load close, back, and neck straight. These basic techniques will help prevent any damage. How to carry a load. Make sure you can see around the load you're carrying. Take small but stable steps, and do not twist your back. This happens a lot when carrying things, so be aware. Proper unloading of a load. Squat down with the load, do not bend your back over the load, and be careful of your fingers when setting it down. Let's review compressed gas cylinder guidelines. Do not modify or tamper with cylinders or valves. Do not attempt to transport cylinders if you are not authorized. Report any leakage, corrosion, or defective cylinders to your supervisor immediately. Here are some general hand and power tool precautions. Inspect tools daily for damage and wear. Never use a damaged or improperly maintained tool. Mark any damaged tool do not use and take them to your supervisor. Use tools only for their intended purposes. Do not wear clothing or jewelry that could get caught up in the moving parts of these tools. Never carry a tool by the cord or hose. Never yank the cord to unplug it. Keep cords and hoses away from the heat, oil, and sharp edges. Do not use power tools with cords that are damaged or have missing prongs. Do not break off grounding pins. Disconnect tools when they're not in use. Make sure all observers are at a safe distance. Secure your work with a vise or clamp. Keep tools sharp and lubricated. Be aware of any moving machine parts that may cause injury that must be guarded. Do not operate machinery without the guards in place. Do not place any part of your body in the point of the operation or near any of the moving parts. Do not tamper with or alter the guards. And notify your supervisor if the guards are missing or damaged. Let's talk about the control of hazardous energy lockouts, tagouts, or LOTO. Prior to performing maintenance, machinery and equipment must be locked out. Lockout prevents the machinery from being operated during the maintenance activities. Only authorized employees are allowed to lock out a machine. Typical equipment requiring lockout includes presses, shears, saws, conveyors, and ovens. Employee responsibilities during a lockout or an LOTO. Do not attempt to operate the machine that is locked out. Leave all LOTO devices in place. Verify equipment is safe to operate following a lockout. Notify your supervisor or maintenance when the equipment needs repair or adjustment. Follow all safety rules when operating the equipment. Let's discuss some ladder safety. Do not use the top rung or step on a ladder. Do not reach over 1 arm's length outside of the ladder's side rail. Keep at least one hand on the ladder at all times. Only one employee at a time on a ladder. Use both hands and face the ladder when ascending or descending. Hoist and lower all tools and objects via hand line, bucket, tool pouch, or rope. Ladders cannot be tied or fastened together to provide longer sections. Ladders are not to be used horizontally as platforms, runways, or scaffolds. It's important to never go into confined spaces. Areas that are PRCS are labeled with a sign as you see. Do not enter the permit-required confined space for any reason whatsoever. Now let's talk about forklift safety. Only trained and authorized personnel are permitted to operate a forklift. Both forklift operators and pedestrians must constantly be aware of each other. Be alert, listen and look for horn sounds, warning lights, and backup alarms. Make sure the forklift operator sees you before proceeding into an area. Don't approach a forklift until the operator indicates that it is safe to do so. Walk alongside of the aisles. Let the forklifts have the center aisles. Be aware that forklifts steer from the rear and the back swings wide when making turns. Never ride on a forklift or be lifted by a forklift. Also, never walk under the elevated forks of a forklift. The operator has limited vision in this area and a load may also fall. Be smart with forklifts. They're throughout the factory and very important. Here are the safety issues for trailer coupling or decoupling. If you are working in and around a trailer that could be coupled with your yard truck, make sure a jack is under the front of the trailer. Stand clear of all moving trailers. Never get too close. Let's talk about cranes and hoists. Cranes and hoists are used throughout the factory to move material. Only trained and authorized employees are allowed to use these cranes. Be alert for material moving overhead. Never work underneath a suspended load or allow it to travel over you. Keep your eyes open at all times. If you do need first aid, personnel are trained and certified in first aid and CPR. There are first aid kits located throughout the factory. There is a safety shower and eye wash station as well. Do not attempt to clean up or contact bodily fluids unless you have had blood-borne pathogen training and are authorized to do so. If you are injured on the job, promptly report each injury or incident to your supervisor. Receive first aid and medical treatment from a supervisor or human resources. Complete employee report and occupational injury form. Attend any medical appointments scheduled by the doctor. Return to work as advised by your physician. A supervisor will conduct an accident investigation to prevent similar injuries in the future. Please report any near misses to your supervisor. In summary, the company is committed to providing employees with a safe workplace. It is your responsibility to work safely, and working safely is a condition of your employment. Report any unsafe conditions or work practices to your supervisor or group leader. Also review this film from time to time if you need additional information on these topics.